give up all next lines. Hello. What's happening? Hello. Hello. Yeah. Perfect. Give up all commotions and live in isolation. Discard words of gossip and always not maybe refrain your speech. Restrain your speech. Restrain your yes, it's amazing, right? In my this thing, always restrain your speech. So this is basically we have discussed this morning, right? So these lines are wrote by Atisha in response to the questions asked by Dharamkot. In the previous chapter, we studied about the seven, wealth of the excellent beings. So these are to be cherished, preserved, and practiced. So therefore, the next relevant question is, okay, if these seven wealth, they are to be preserved and they are to be practiced, then in what kind of place we should practice? What kind of place we should practice this? So you should practice this in a place where there is no hustle and bustle. Commotion means hustle and bustle. Too many things going on. So give up those places of commotions and live in isolation. Because when you live in isolation, we are already distracted. And now if you go into a big city, big town, see so many things, as we all know, you are completely carried away. Socializing, shopping, picnicking, traveling, so many things. Right? You will get completely carried away, completely distracted. So therefore, what he is saying in this 4 lines is that as far as this question of practicing this seven wealth is concerned, go to a place where there is no distraction. That's why serious meditators, they go up into the mountain where there is less activities. It's almost like specializing, when you go and do meditation, do spiritual practice, then you don't carry your laptop with you. You don't get connected to the rest of the world. You have no idea what's happening to the rest of the world. That's not your business, not your concern. And you don't study astrology, you don't study meditation, all these things you don't study. You just focus on your spiritual practice, meditate on it. Right? So that means distance yourself from probably beautiful gardens or towns and cities where there's a lot of things going on. And in terms of your not only physical isolation, when we talk about isolation, it's not only physical isolation, it is mental isolation, it is verbal isolation, Verbal isolation means discard words of gossip and always restrain your speech. Of course, already you are in place of isolation, you don't have to speak too much, but still be careful. So as far as this place of meditation is concerned, it should be a place of isolation, solitude, as we say, solitude. solitude. Now, solitude, that place of solitude is such that it should not be too far away from the city and town, too far away. It should be far away, but not too far away, because you are still ordinary person. You need to get your food, clothing, things like that. So very often you have to come down to the town to buy things. Okay? There is a very interesting story in Tibet. You see, there was a meditator, great meditator, who was really far away from the city, and in the mountain he was meditating. Then he has an attendant. Normally you have an attendant, somebody who gives you the supply, carry you the supply. So this poor Tibetan, he had to carry on his back in those days for 1 week, 1 month, whatever. He has to carry it. And he has to walk up the hill. So he was really tired. And he got upset. And on the way he said, "This stupid Lama, he doesn't live where everybody lives." This stupid Lama, he doesn't live where everybody lives. You got my point? He doesn't live, he does not live in a place where everybody lives. So look at me now, I'm not a problem carrying this heavy burden. Anyway, finally he had to do his job. He finally reached near the Lama's place. Then the Lama welcomed him and said, "You must be very tired. Please drink tea. Please eat this food, which he has prepared." And suddenly he changed his mind. He said, "The Lama is so gentle, so good. The food is so delicious." Things like that. You see. So what I'm saying is, it should be far, but not too far away. Then also it should not be a place where there are, wild animals roaming around, tigers and lions and bears ready to tear you apart. Not in that place. Also not a place where it is a breeding ground for, mosquitoes and all kind of viruses. No. As much as possible, live in a place which is closer to other practitioners. In your meditation, in your practice, if you had a problem, there should be some teachers or other meditators with whom you can consult and talk. So this is very important. Then with regard to the food also, if you are meditating in a cold place, then you should take those food which gives you more heat. If you are meditating in a hot place, take those food which gives you more coolness. So all this you need to good place, good habitat, good friend, and good convenience. All these are important. Okay? So give up all promotions and live in isolation, discard words of gossip. We discussed already this morning, and restrain your speech. Because if you go to big cities and towns and gardens, that's how we ordinary people live. And then you are compelled to get distracted, you are compelled to gossip, you are compelled to, chatter. And in this commotion, you will be carried away by the forces, by the evil forces. I mean, negative ways. So wherever you are, make sure that you destroy this clinging to this self-attachment. And do not see this samsara as something attractive, something amazing, because if you do so, gradually you will be cheated and deceived by the ordinary, by the negative force, and you will not get a secure place, stable place for your practice. Because the activities of this life are not going to end unless you stop. Right? The worldly activities are like waves on an ocean. Waves on an ocean, do they come to an end? One wave finishes, another wave comes, one wave finishes, another wave comes. So similarly, our activities will never come to an end, and they will come to an end only when you stop it. So at least you stop some of those things, those activities, which is really not much useful, useless. So stop running for many of these meaningless activities. Unfinished work is like unfinished beard of a person. The more you pick, the more it will grow. It will never come to an end. Right? So the Lotus Sutra, it says, ordinary activities are like child's play. They will never come to an end by doing, but they will come to an end by stopping. Right? Okay? Because in this ordinary world, in big cities and towns, wherever, people basically are moving with attachment, with anger, with hatred. So it's really like traveling in a big turbulent sea, and you will be carried away very soon. So therefore, do not see these impermanent, fleeting, transient, worldly activities as of great meaning. Because it is in these places that negative emotions will prosper. So destroy the poisonous tree of afflictive emotions and cultivate the medicinal plant of peace and happiness. And nourish and look after this tree benefiting others. And with the mind in calmness and peace, go to this place of isolation where your virtuous practices will prosper. And remember that these evil forces, they are very cunning, they are very opportunistic. Evil forces basically means not necessarily a Satan or a ghost outside, but the real ghost or evil force is negative emotions. The real enemy is negative emotion. Enemy means somebody who harms you, somebody who harms your wealth, somebody who harms your relatives, harms your friends. This is exactly what is done by the negative emotions. So for a practitioner, negative emotions should be treated as your sworn enemy, enemy number one. There is a difference between external enemy and the internal enemy. The external enemy, however horrible they are, they have their purposes to be fulfilled. When a country invades another country, at least they have some purpose, some reason. Right? So maybe selfish, but some purpose. Right? Then also with the external enemy, human enemy, you can fight. If you can't fight, run away. If you can't run away, then submit. Say sorry, I'll do whatever you say. They'll spare your life. They're coming from outside, so not so dangerous. The negative emotions they are within you. You can't, there's no place you can run away unless you go in and destroy them. And also, we have this very unfortunate or interesting tendency of anything belonging to you, you have this tendency to see it as something healthy, something nice, something good. When I ask you to remove anger in general, you're not so bothered. But when I tell you remove your anger, you will be bothered. And you will say, anger, yes, I know. I know anger is bad. But my anger, I have some reason why I get angry. You see? That's how we defend our anything with us. That's why in spiritual practice we repeatedly say, turn within yourself. Look at your negative emotions, how horrible they are, how destructive they are. Deal with them, remove them, weaken them, then eliminate them. I sometimes, in my talks, I give the example of smelly socks. Smelly socks. If it is your smelly socks, it smells better. Sometimes, in order to make, in order to see whether your socks are smelly or not, sometimes you even lift them up to your nose and see whether it's smelling or not. You will not do that with the socks of other people, right? Even if it is a brand new socks, you might say, "Oh, socks, smelly." This is our habit. Anything you have belong to you, you think it's okay, it's good. So don't do that. Okay? Don't do that. So what I was saying was, these negative emotions are cunning. I'm not using the word clever, okay? I'm using the word, it's negative emotions like cunning. They're opportunistic. For example, attachment, when you develop attachment, it will come to you as a supporter, friend. Oh, you must have that one. Oh, you must marry that man. It's good for me. Right? Then when anger comes also, oh, you're in trouble. Get angry. I'm there. Don't worry. You see, they're very cunning and very opportunistic. How many of you read Shantideva's book, Bodhisattva Way of Life? How many? 1, 2, 3, not many. I strongly recommend, if your money is not running out, I strongly recommend buy that book. The best Buddhist book on ethics, written in the 8th century by this very famous meditator, Shantideva. He was a great practitioner, Shantideva, and in his university, most of the time he's found like very lazy and almost like sleeping, things like that, right? So the other students, they said, look at this fellow, he's always sleeping. The only thing he does is a man with 3 feelings. That is eating, going to the toilet, and sleeping. Man with 3 feelings. They even nicknamed him Pusuk. Pusuk is a Sanskrit word, Pusuk. And then they said, this fellow must be taught a lesson, otherwise he's not going to do anything. So they put a big throne in the hall, big throne with no steps to climb on. So now you're done to teach, give a lecture. If you can't, probably you have to leave this university or something like that. You see. So then people thought he's sleeping, but he's always thinking and practicing, you see. Highly advanced master. So then he, without these steps, he almost like half flying. He sat on the throne. He stretched his hand almost like elephant's, nose, and then pushed the seat a little bit down, and then went to sit on it, almost half flying. Then after sitting there, he said, do you want to hear something that you heard before? You want to hear something you never heard before? In a challenging note, he said this. Indian saint master. You see. Then people again made a sarcastic remark by saying that you always do, peculiar things. So the teaching also should be peculiar, say something which they never heard. They need to give this teaching, this book of 10 chapters. Amazing, amazing. His Holiness the Dalai Lama was full of praise for this book, I myself read this book many times, still reading, There are so many. In Tibet, there used to be more than 100 commentaries. Now in exile, in the library also, we have at least 20 different commentaries. At least 4 or 5 English translation versions also there. Read that. Because just my teaching, and then you go back, you have nothing, take some of these books. What was the other book that I recommended? I recommended 1 or 2 books already. Do you remember? Huh? Absolutely wonderful. Have you bought it? You bought it? Otherwise you buy it. There is not very expensive. And this Bodhisattva Way of Life, you can buy it in the library also. If Tushita helps you buy it, then you give your list, they will help you buy it, and will give some discount also. But it's not so expensive. 2 books I recommended. The 3rd book I recommended, do you remember? Why Buddhism is True. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah. Because these are books that I read, therefore I'm recommending. You see, I'm not just asking you to buy a book like that. Because, we talk about continuous Dharma practice. Continuous Dharma practice must be done by listening to the teaching and doing homework. You're not staying here forever. You're staying here for a little bit time. Then you go back and have these books, read them, right? Amazing book. Amazing. Then when he was giving this teaching, then in the wisdom section, there is a line which reads, since there is nothing that is there is nothing that is a thing, there is nothing. So it was a section on emptiness. So at that time he flew and disappeared. But then the listeners, they were all dumbfounded. He's such a highly realized spiritual master. They wanted to get this teaching. Then it is said that they sent scholars all around where he is. Then he was found, luckily, somewhere. And then they requested, where is this text? Where is this text to be taught? Then he said, I've hidden it under a certain pillar where I used to meditate. So they found there. They actually found two versions, a little bit different, but not much different. There are amazing stories like that. So whether it has actually happened or not happened, whether miraculous things are done, not done, that's not so much our business. Okay? Today's people, difficult to believe in many of these things. Although so many miraculous things are happening through technology, which we believe, but when we talk about miraculous things happening through spiritual practice, we may say, oh, maybe not true. It is true. It is true. But if you read the text, and then gradually you may not be able to understand everything just by reading the verse. This is a versified text, 10 chapters. And then you read commentaries. There are commentaries. There's one commentary already available, very good commentary in English available. I forgot the title. It is basically available in that Tumsar Institute in Deer Park. It is available. Okay, if you want to really go into depth, that is there. So by reading such texts, make your life meaningful and make yourself a fortunate being. That is what we say in Buddhism. Make yourself a fortunate being, and you will become a fortunate being by reading such texts. Okay, right? So therefore, what he was saying is this evil forces and their types, they're very deceitful, very opportunistic, very cunning. How? If you are a person with great desire, you will be cheated by wealth. This is how they cheat. If you are a person with great desire, you will be cheated by wealth. If you are a Dharma practitioner, you will be cheated by somebody who acts as if he or she is another practitioner. You will also be cheated. So many loopholes by which you can get lost. Like, for example, when I give such teachings and talks, not only me, other teachers, it is possible, when I have many people listening to me, I will be cheated with arrogance and I think I am somebody special. You are nothing, but we get puffed up. Then we think about making money, think about becoming more famous, Even in the name of Dharma, you can be cheated. Then hypocrisy, Very easy to become hypocritic. When many people listen to you, respect you, then you don't have the gut to say, this I don't know. When you pretend you know everything, you tell lies, start telling lies. You see? Then you start giving all the initiations, empowerments, about which people have no idea. They don't see whether people have reached their level to receive tantric initiation or not. All kind of things. If you go to some Asian countries, they will ask you to give a Zambala initiation to increase your wealth. If you go to the West, they will request you to give a tantric initiation. And then the Lama really sees who is really ready, not ready. Yes, yes, yes. They read the text, and then you are stupid fool of magnification. And then after they, I don't know what he said, what to practice. That's the thing, you see. That's the thing, So we need to really, in Buddhist practice also, you need to use your common sense. Who to follow, who not to follow. You have every right to say no. Yes, every right to say no is, this permission is given by Buddha, no other than Buddha, not me. The Buddha said, just as the goldsmith judges the gold by cutting, rubbing, putting under the fire, similarly judge my teaching through the threefold analysis. Threefold analysis means there are three levels of phenomena. One, obvious phenomena, which you can see, I can see. There, don't ask too many questions. Just you go and see yourself. Go and see yourself. Obvious phenomena, first level. Second level, slightly hidden phenomena. You can't see directly with your senses, but you can caution. You can reason out. So use your human reason. And then there is a third level phenomena, which is called completely hidden, which you cannot directly see, cannot reason out. So there what you should do is listen to a qualified teacher, but indirectly you ask questions. Why you should trust this teacher? Because in other areas of his teaching, he was right. He was correct. He is compassionate. Therefore, this one I don't know, but he said, therefore, this must be true. Directly you can't question, but indirectly again you are questioning and then accepting it. Right? That's very important. Because this is important, because sometimes when you follow any religion, then you follow it by blind faith, which becomes the source of fanaticism and fundamentalism. That's not good. Religion is your servant, not your master. Just like money is your servant, not your master. Servant in the sense, not in a negative sense, but it is for the service of other people, you see. Right? So therefore, they are very opportunistic. If you're say a disciplined person, then again you will be cheated, deceived with the wish to become even better. If you're a learned person, you will be cheated by arrogance. If you're somebody who gets distracted, then you will be further cheated by singing songs, songs and dances and so forth. And when you are young, your body is youthful. When most of the young people, they are deceived by their youthfulness. And those people who are fond of beauty, they will be cheated by ornaments. Right? And even in practice, when you are engaging in meditation, one-pointed meditation, then you give up listening to teaching. And then you think, oh, just watching my breath will do all the work. No knowledge about Buddha Dharma. You see? Right? I mean, watching or meditating on breath is important, but there's only one part. You can't watch the breath for the rest of your life and then die. You फूंक है ना फूंक, इस पर ध्यान देगा कि पूरा जिंदगी दिन मरने से जगेगा. There's no use, you see. Right? So when you are successful in your meditation, you give up listening. When your listening is successful, you don't remember meditation. When you are doing some prayer, you forget meditation. So it's really like one person climbing a tree. When a person is climbing the tree, before you catch the other branch, you get hold of this branch, hold it, Then you have to get this another branch. But before this hand holds the other branch, if this one, if you leave it, what happens? You'll fall down. So like that, you're doing little bit, and then before it is successful, you give of the other practice also. So therefore, when you do your spiritual practice also, it should be systematic. It should be systematic, and every time you reach, you make some progress, then go higher, 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 like that. That's why we talk about preliminary practice, foundational practice. So just like construction of a house, you can't construct the second story or third story without the first story being built, right? When you move from here to New Delhi also, even if you fly, it has to be successful. You can reach there in a second. So don't try to overreach. When you're not ready, don't try to overreach. So the most important practice, renunciation, bodhicitta, and emptiness. We call this three principal aspects of the path. In the long-run stages of the path practice, these three are crucial: renunciation, bodhicitta, and emptiness. Renunciation basically means seeing the faults of samsara, limitations of samsara. You develop determination, strong wish to come out of the samsara. Renunciation. Renunciation is not throwing away your vanity. It's mentally renouncing, grasping, thinking like that. Then bodhicitta, we already discussed. Emptiness, wisdom, understanding, emptiness, we already discussed. And then restrain your speech, also important, because many of the unhealthy things happen because of having no restraint on your speech. And also many of the talks come out of attachment. So instead of engaging in gossip, replace gossip by reciting mantras, reciting the names of Buddhas, like mantra Om Mani Padme Hum. These mantras are like magic formulas. They have great power, especially if you know the meaning. They have great power. In Buddhism we say the power of substance is unthinkable. Power of mantra is unthinkable. Power of karma is unthinkable. Power of meditation is unthinkable, immeasurable, unthinkable. Now, power of substance is unthinkable. We know how the aeroplanes are flying. It's all made from substance. The many news and other things that you see in the television, I don't know how to do that. There are people who know how to do that. Then you are being able to listen on your mobile phone. I don't know how to do that. There are many people who are able to do that. That means if you know how to manipulate substances and put different things together, you see, you can make this nuclear bomb. Nuclear bomb is just made out of this small nucleus of atom, which is packet of energy. So if you know, there's so much power there. So there we know. So similarly, we say the power of mantra is unthinkable. For example, I tell you a story. Some of the wrathful mantras. He's always told this story. There was one monk in the lower tantric college. He always used to recite this wrathful Yamantaka mantra. Om Yamantaka Sadomeya mantra. He always used the wrathful mantra. And gradually he also, his face and everything also became a little bit wrathful. So much so that when he looks at the dog just cries and runs away, as if somebody had thrown a stone. these things can happen. Things doesn't happen because our practice is short-lived. We don't make much effort. I mean, then you look at the sportsmen and women that who do daredevil sports. Unbelievable, how they do it, for us. You can do it easily. So whether it's your speech, your body, and particularly mind, it has a lot of potential if you do the right thing. Okay? So therefore, replace gossip by reciting the names of Buddhas or enlightened beings. Sing their song. You see? So this completes chapter 9. Then the next lines say, when lamas and reports are seen, with veneration cultivate respect. Persons with the Dharma eye and sentient beings of beginning stage develop the recognition similar to the Buddha. When seeing all sentient beings, develop the recognition similar to parents and teachers. So here, what we are now discussing is when you see lamas and reports, with veneration cultivate respect. Lama is Tibetan word, Guruji, Guru. Not any monk, as I said. Of course, monks also respected, should be respected. Everybody should be respected, but especially lamas, as I explained already. Lama is one who good teacher. Real Lama is one who cares about others more than oneself, who cares about future life more than this life, who of course has all the 10 qualities of discipline, knowledge, wish to help others, morality, meditation, wisdom, all those things. Who has all these things? Then of course you should respect the Sachin Lama because he is embodiment of knowledge. And particularly in today's world, whether somebody has the title of Lama or not, but particularly in today's world, if you see genuinely good people, respect them, give them recognition, then there is hope for the world to become better. If there is no respect for really, really good people, but respect only for billionaires, people with money, world is going downhill. I'm telling you. So we need to cultivate this environment of respecting good people, whoever, men, women, even kids, whoever. Oh, wonderful, you're so good. Shall I help you? You see? Especially when these good people are alive, support them financially, physically, whatever, in whatever you can support them. Again, here the problem with us, when somebody is really working very hard, very good, not many people are supporting them. When that person dies, then everybody cries and says, oh, he was such a good person, we miss him. Stupid, no use. Really, in your family also it should be like that. When you're living together, be nice. When one day they die, no need to cry because you have been very good when you're living together. Don't need to regret. Right? It's really important. Good people must come together and show their force. So Lama is an example here. When you see Lama or about a monastery, not just about a monastery, but when you see the leaders of some people, right, the world leaders right now, some of them are really nasty, horrible, but still you need to respect them. According to Buddhist teaching, they say you still need to respect them because they are leader of such a huge population. In that sense, we respect everyone, right? Because it's somehow hopefully elected by the population. Then of course more respect can go. So Lama basically, especially if it is a Lama who has done 3 kindnesses to you, then it means it's a Lama or for about who has given you the vow, who has given you the empowerment, and blessings, things like that. Okay, so they should really be respected. Because it's by respecting them, you're imbibing their qualities. You get an opportunity to get their qualities, get their blessings. What is blessing? We say, I got His Holiness blessing. What is blessing? His Holiness gave me blessing. He touched my head. So what? What is blessing? The Tibetan word for blessing is chilap. 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 Chil means magnificence. Chil means magnificence. Love means to transform. So chila means to transform into a state of magnificence. So you will be transformed into a state of magnificence, not because the Lama touched your head, but because he gave you the teaching. And if you practice the meaning of those teachings, you will be transformed into that state of magnificence. As I said this morning, you become a great person. That's why, again, from here, it becomes so important that you yourself should practice the Dharma, not just wait for a Lama to give you an initiation, touch your head, and then think everything is done. No. This is mob mentality. Don't follow mob mentality. As I cited the other day, the Buddha said, I have shown you the path to liberation. Liberation is up to you. That's what Buddha said. I'm your teacher. You have to do. That's what Buddha said. And also the Buddha said, the Buddhas do not wash the sins of sentient beings with water. The Buddhas cannot remove the sufferings of sentient beings with their hand. And Buddhas cannot transfer their knowledge into your mind. The Buddhas can only teach you the path of truth. And you have to practice it. It is only this way that you help yourself. Right? The Buddhas can't just come and remove all our sufferings. No. It is us who have to do this practice and come out of suffering. That's the meaning of receiving blessing. And similarly, persons with the Dharma high and sentient beings of beginning stage, when you see them, to them also develop the recognition similar to the Buddha. Not only that, when you see all sentient beings develop the recognition similar to parents and children. It's so beautiful. Not easy, of course, not easy. But if you're able to do so beautiful, they're all my brothers, all my sisters, they're all my children, So beautiful, huh? Why not? It's only because of change of life we do not recognize them, who they are. Your not being able to recognize them does not mean they have not been acted as your children, as your husband, as your wife, through this countless lives. You're not recognizing them. That doesn't mean they are not related to you. That's one way of looking. Second way of looking is even in this very world, as I said already, that much of the things that we are enjoying, much of the things that we are enjoying, much of the things that we are enjoying are directly, indirectly come from all these sentient beings. Some of them look very helpless, but they are also very kind. And look at those farmers, people who do this menial job, without them, many things will stop. And they themselves lead a very difficult life, but they're contributing to the society. Even if you look at earthworm, now in many countries they make a business out of earthworm. They make the earth fertile. So there are earthworm farms. And then I remember this very well. His Holiness Dalai Lama said, when we talk about respecting all sentient beings, people might think, why should I respect or bow down to an insect? And His Holiness said, if you think from one point of view, they should be more respected than human beings. This insect is really helpless, very small, very weak, but he's not doing any great damage to the environment, but in his own way contributing. He's not harming many people or many sentient beings. Maybe a little bit for his food, but not much. So they are really like, and then the birds, ornament of the planet. They sing for us. If you have the ear to listen, they're always singing for you. You don't have to make any payment. Free. The birds near my room down in the library, always singing near me. If you have the ear, and then you can enjoy their beauty. You can look at them, how they behave, right? So therefore, everybody should be respected. Environment should be respected. Nature should be respected, cherished. Now, in this case, look, by respecting, what we are trying to do is reducing your unchecked desire, unchecked greed. If you get too obsessed with yourself, probably even if you practice, you'll become a Sarvaka Partika Buddha, not Bodhisattva. So the fact that many of us are able to become disciplined and humble and nice, this is due to the kindness and the guidance of your Lama and your abbot. Therefore, we should respect to them. And what supports us, by which we are able to do this practice in accordance with the instruction of the Lama and Khenpo, is those people who have the Dharma eye. That means who know Dharma. Our spiritual Sangha, as I said, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So it is this Sangha with the Dharma eye. So Dharma eye basically means who already had, for example, actualized the first ground. There are 5 spiritual grounds. The first ground is called path of accumulation. First path is called path of accumulation. Okay, who had cultivated bodhicitta. So respect them. And then sentient beings at the beginning stage. Sentient beings of the beginning stage are those who have received blessings of the Buddhas and who work in harmony with these people. So when you see these people, for example, when you see Lama and abbots make offerings, venerate them. When you see the sentient beings at the beginning stage, you should see them. They are also source of temporary peace and long-term happiness. See them as also your teacher. And when you see the rest of the sentient beings, respect them. All the elder sentient beings, you should see them as your parents. Because in the true sense of the term, there's nobody who has not become acted your parents. Nobody who has not acted as your son or daughter. So they are all your sons and daughters. So today it is your job to help them get liberated through the practice of the four immeasurable qualities. Four immeasurable qualities. And if you're lucky, you can give them teaching. So I'm lucky. Or if they are lucky, they can listen to the teaching. You are lucky. Because by listening to the teaching, you may or not able to understand much, but at least you leave a positive imprint. You leave a positive imprint. So you should not run away from developing this positive attitude and respect everybody and repay their kindness by the practice of the four immeasurable qualities. Four immeasurable qualities are developed by this prayer. May all sentient beings meet with happiness and the cause of happiness. May all sentient beings be away from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings never get separated from that happiness which is without suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity. That's the prayer. That means immeasurable love. May all sentient beings meet with happiness and the cause of happiness. That is immeasurable love. May all sentient beings without suffering and the cause of suffering, immeasurable compassion. May all sentient beings never separated from that state of happiness which is without suffering. That is immeasurable joy. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, immeasurable equanimity. So, cultivation of this immeasurable equanimity is the basis. That's the basis. To develop love, compassion. First, you should see all sentient beings as equal. Don't develop attachment to some and anger and hatred to others. Equal. Just like leveling the ground. The farmers, when they sow the seed, first thing they do is level the ground. What kind of crop you are going to get is very much dependent upon how fertile the ground is, how much you level the ground. If you, for example, plant, say, turnip, or carrot, if you have leveled the ground nicely, then the turnip that you will get will be all straight, not crooked. Then the picking will be very easy. Right? Then you get more money. If it is not leveled properly, the turnip and carrot will be crooked, One of my Tibetan friend, he went to study farming in Japan. Then he came back and we were just talking. And then he said, in Japan, they don't grow crooked turnips. I said, what stupid thing you are saying? He said, no, Geshe Lhakdor, there's dependent upon how much you level the ground properly. If you do it, then you get straight. Now they're even planning to, grow skewer watermelon so that you can easily peg them, All these things can be done. So likewise, if you level the ground in the sense of maintain equanimity, see all sentient beings same. Same in the sense that they are all same in wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. Same. It's only because of negative emotions, some are nice, some are not nice, but at the deeper level, they all want happiness, do not want suffering. So therefore, it's not good for me to be nice to some and not so nice to others. Then also, if you are somebody practicing the Mahayana teaching, the Bodhisattva way of life, Then you talk about all sentient beings as your mother, as your parents. Then how can you make this discrimination? Now, these are not easy, but that should be the mental attitude. So at the level of your mind, you should have that attitude. Then when it comes to actually dealing with people, then sometimes you have to act a little bit differently because of the situation. Right? You should be nice, very nice to everybody. That doesn't mean you let others bully you. Right? One Tibetan master, he gave this example of cotton. Cotton is very nice, very soft. People say cotton is soft, but what they do, they use it to stuff, to make mat to sit on. They all say nice, but what they do is they sit on it. They make cushion out of it. Sit on it. Similarly, if you act like a cotton without using your brain, you'll become a doormat. You see, so sometimes, deep down, you are compassionate, you are nice, don't be stupid. Another example that he gave is, look at the tree, he says. Normally the tree that is really upright and straight, everybody says, wow, this tree is so straight, so nice. Very good, right? But if you are to prepare a saddle for the horse, the tree is of no use. You need a piece of wood which is already crooked. You can make a better saddle out of it. So similarly, generally you should be honest like the tree, but for some people, because of the situation, because of the reason, you need to be a little bit teramera, a little bit crooked. But deep down, no crookedness. Right? So Buddhism is not teaching you to become an object which everybody can exploit and play with. Okay. So if it is a situation where you need to open, you should open up. If it is a situation where you need to be a little bit tough, you must be tough, depending on. But the aim is to help them and not to spoil them. So this basically. Okay, so we spoke about seeing all sentient beings as your parents and respecting them. Now look at the situation of the parents today. Look at the situation of the sentient beings today, our parents today. They are looted. They are looted by negative emotions. And seeing that it is your responsibility, considering yourself as their children, seeing the sufferings of mother, father, parents, and beings, you consider yourself as their children, and it is now your responsibility to liberate them, to protect them from the enemy of negative emotions. So this completes the 10th chapter. Next lines, give up negative friends and seek spiritual friends. Discard hatred and unhappy mind, and wherever you go, go in peace. Such a good prayer. Wherever you go, go in peace. Right on the first day, we all agreed that we want the long-lasting happiness. If you want a long-lasting happiness, you need to be very careful with whom you associate. You should associate with spiritual or good friends, not with the negative friends. Right? Now, What is the demarcation? Good friend, negative friend. The so-called evil or negative friends will not appear before you with raised fangs, long, red eyes, and black cloth, with a terrifying look. They will not come there, come before you like that. They will also come as nice friends. They'll come, please come. Let us go to nightclub. I will look after all these expenses. Let us do gambling, enjoy life. So in this way, you will get addicted to so many bad things. Therefore, the criteria is when you associate with somebody, if your negative traits, your faults are decreasing, your positive qualities are increasing like a waxing moon, then you're associating with a spiritual friend. Recognize that and regard them highly as your spiritual, almost like spiritual teacher. Contrarily, when you associate with somebody, your three poisons, hatred, attachment, ignorance increase. And you're listening to the Dharma, your contemplation on the Dharma, your meditation on the Dharma decreases, declines. And gradually you get transformed into a person without love, without compassion. Then clearly you're associating with a negative friend. So give up such association. It's like reclining against a gold mountain and dust mountain. If you recline against a gold mountain, you get gold. If you recline against dust, you get dust. Right? So especially in our case, we are ordinary people, we have to be very careful where we stay, where we live, with whom we associate. People may not come specially to destroy you because of their own, negative emotion and other vulnerable qualities. You will get all those habits with that person. If you go with a drinker, you will adopt drinking. If you go with a smoker, you will adopt smoking. You don't have that very strong integrity. If you reach really high level, then no problem. You associate with everybody. And that does not mean that we should say, oh, you're a bad friend, I'm not coming with you. No. Deep down, you also have compassion. But that does not mean you go with them because you have compassion. Right? So you need to be very careful. So having spoke about the place of practice, now we are talking, then we spoke about the importance of the teacher, the Lama and abbot. Now we are talking about with whom we should go and live. So in short, if it is a place or it is person relating to which, if your virtuous practices will not prosper and negative emotions will multiply, then you should distance from that place, from those people. So going to a place of isolation also means not just the physical place, but also to a place where you are not troubled by this negative people. So therefore, give up unhealthy friends and seek spiritual friends. Because you are a practitioner whose aim is to get liberated from samsara. But if you associate with bad people, they will take the very life of liberation. Now, in this, what we need to think is, you can't afford to live in such hostile place and associate with such unruly friends because we are not sure when we are going to die. You can't postpone your practice. You're not sure when we are going to die. It may be tomorrow. But not remembering that You keep on doing all this not so useful worldly activities and not meditating on impermanence, even for a moment. If you stay like that, if somebody leads you in that direction, then you are in association with a negative friend. And also, problem with us is we hardly think about the happiness of everybody. And therefore, we engage in such negative activities, which in the end will destroy you and also destroy others. So even if it is somebody who has the name of a scholar or learned person, but he guides you, tells you things which is not good for the happiness of people in general, and which will lead to your destruction, and who has not seen the actual reality, then that is also your negative friend. So in short, whoever that person is, if he is interrupting your temporary peace and happiness, long-term peace and happiness, that's your negative friend. So therefore, it is important to talk about the qualities of liberation and talk about the faults of samsara and talk about what must be discarded and what must be adopted. So one who gives such teaching is your spiritual friend, who really guides you, shows you what to do, what not to do. One who tells you to take refuge, one who tells you to cultivate bodhicitta, that's your spiritual friend, whoever that person is. It is not necessary that the person is sitting on a high throne and teaching you. It may be an ordinary person, ordinary friend, but who guides you to the right path, that is your spiritual friend. If you're in place where people are very hateful of the Buddha's teaching, very hateful of the Sanghas who follow the Buddha's teaching, then that is not a good place for you to practice. So whenever you develop such uncomfortable feeling in such a place, it is time to leave that place and go into a place of isolation. Because the ordinary life is full of confusion. If it is something, even if it is a good Dharma practice, but if it is something that does not accord their way of thinking, then they will say this is wrong. This is the worldly way. And then they will fight my side, his side. Attachment and hatred comes naturally. So there is there with oneself and with others. So in this way, if it is a place where there's hatred, where there's unhappiness, don't go there. And wherever there is peace, happiness, go there and stay there. 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 1 year, things like that. You know this famous Indian teacher, Guru Nanak? Guru Nanak is a very famous teacher. He's said to have visited Tibet also. So he visits one village. That village is said to be full of people, unruly people, bad people. Then Guru Nanak goes there and gives a teaching and then says, and you should all live here in this village, okay? Don't go anywhere outside, okay? Live harmoniously here, okay? He gives such a teaching. Then he goes to another village, which is said to be full of people, nice people. So there he says, oh, wonderful, you're all nice people. Okay, you don't stay here, go everywhere, okay? Then his attendant or somebody asked him, why are you saying this, Then he said, if these bad people, they go to other place, they will spoil the other place also. If good people go around, they'll spread this good message, So that is similar what is being said here. And if it is a place where there's no hatred, no uncomfortable feeling, that is your monastery. The Tibetan term for monastery is Goma, which means place of solitude, place of isolation. Because in ancient times, according to the monastic discipline, the monastery should be a little bit away from the city and the town. Okay, so therefore it's called Gomba, which means place of isolation. So when you find such a place, then you go there quickly, just like a rabbit getting up from its place, just run, jump, and go there. So in this way, you should get habituated with what you're going to do. Then you will enjoy. Specialize in your Dharma practice. Then you will find that happiness. Okay? So this completes the 11th chapter. Next line. Discard attachment in anything and live without attachment. Due to attachment, even happy migration is not attained. And moreover, it takes the life of liberation. That we discussed a little bit earlier. Attachment, as we see today in the world, that it's really attachment or this greed. Attachment, especially greed, which is destroying the whole planet today. Okay. When you develop that attachment, you get stuck. Attachment. Tsongkhapa explains attachment in his great stages of the path. He gives the example by saying, attachment is like a drop of oil. Attachment is like a drop of oil that falls on a piece of cloth. If a drop of oil falls on a piece of cloth, it gets stuck there. It's very difficult to remove that oil from that piece of cloth. So similarly, when we develop attachment, our mind goes into this object and we get stuck there. You see? So attachment and many of these negative emotions, I'll tell you, attachment, all these negative emotions, see some of these negative qualities of these negative emotions. Attachment, anger, hatred, these negative emotions are, number one, narrow-minded. They don't have a holistic attitude. They are all narrow-minded. So if you develop negative emotions, you will also become narrow-minded. Now, for example, when you develop attachment, then you say, as I said earlier, I think, then you say, I love this person, not anybody. I love you only, not anybody. Narrow. Then you get angry, then you point towards somebody, say, he is the one. He is the one, which is not true. There are many causes and conditions for everything. But because of narrow-mindedness, you are not able to incorporate all these multifarious other causes and conditions. You simply want one target to shoot. Attachment, one target to get obsessed. Anger, one target to shoot. Narrow-minded. Whereas when we talk about loving kindness towards all sentient beings, it's totally different. So these negative emotions are narrow-minded, suffocating, based on unhealthy reasoning, no proper foundation, right? So therefore, as a practitioner, as a meditator, we need to say, the time when you cheated me is gone now. You need to say strongly to the negative emotions that the time you cheated me is gone. Gone? Why gone? Because at that time I had no knowledge of Dharma. Now I know who you are. At that time I thought you negative emotions are my friend. But now I know who you are. So you can say, now I know who you are. Please don't come get lost. No more cheating. Anger, get lost. Attachment, get lost. Jealousy, get lost. Contrarily, when you see compassion, loving kindness, patience, and so forth, then you should say, I'm really sorry. At that time, I did not study Dharma. I did not know the importance of you guys. Now I know who you are. You're so precious. Please come, come, come. Come have a nice cup of tea. Sit in the headquarters of my mind. You know? Yesterday we spoke about election, right? So similar, idea. That is called Dharma practice. The word Dharma, Sanskrit word Dharma means Dharan Karetu Dharma. The word Dharma means Dharan Dharma. That means to hold, to get hold of you from falling. If you do these negative things, you will fall. And Dharma practice helps you not to fall down. That's the meaning of Sanskrit word, Dharma. And then the Tibetan word, Chu. Tibetans have translated this as Chu, which means to transform, to change. If you transform your mind from negative to the positive, you're doing it. If you are not doing that, if you are not doing that, then even if you're supposed to be meditating, even if you pretend you're in the temple, but if you're not doing that practice, you're not doing Dharma practice. Dharan Karetu Dharma. So therefore, you need to see how much positive transformation has taken place in my mind today comparing to 2 years back, 3 years back, or comparing to 5 days back. Changes take place. You see? So if that is happening, that is the time to sing, dance, and rejoice. You know, in the 7 limb practice, there is a thing called rejoicing. So when you realize that you've done something good, rejoice, be happy, yes. Then you can really treat yourself at that time. Rejoicing is so important. Okay? So discard attachment in anything. In anything means including chocolate, cakes. Again, not saying don't eat, but attachment, don't have attachment. Eat, enjoy, but not too much. Live without attachment. Due to attachment, even happy migration is not added. Happy migration means if you have attachment, forget about enlightenment, forget about liberation or nirvana, you will not even achieve the life of a human being. And moreover, it takes the life of liberation. It kills liberation. Because the greatest obstruction to liberation is negative emotions in general, and especially the 3 poisons. Right? So therefore, at this point, you need to think about this 12 links of dependent origination. 12 links of dependent origination. There is a 12 cycles of dependent origination by which you get entrance. So first is ignorance. Out of the 12 links, the first is ignorance. Second is action. Third is consciousness. Fourth is name and form. 6 is sense powers. 7 is contact. 8 is feeling. 9 is craving. 8 is craving. 9 is grasping. 10th is existence. And 11th is birth. And 12th is aging and death. These are 12 links of dependent origination, which basically means the root of cycle of existence is ignorance. We discussed quite in detail the other day. Ignorance means, yesterday we discussed this in ignorance means misconception of reality. Misconception of reality means seeing things as having independent existence. Because of this, all activities, the second link, all activities come, activities out of attachment, activities out of hatred, all activities come. And when you engage in all these activities, then these activities leave an imprint on the mind. The third consciousness, it leaves an imprint on the mind. Right? So like that, the 12 links of dependent origination. And then, birth, then getting all the senses, then touch, then feeling, then again craving, grasping, then again living up, empowering the imprint on the mind, and then taking birth, then aging, and then dying. So that's how we get entered in the cycle of existence. Okay? So therefore, the important practice that you need to think is see attachment as a quagmire, murder. Take the example of a horse. If you're riding horse, and unfortunately, if you step into that quagmire, all the 4 feet of that horse will get stuck, sink into that quagmire, right? Right? Then you will not be able to, it will be very difficult for you to take that horse out of that quagmire, that mud. When you lift one leg, another leg goes down. When you lift one leg, another leg. It is uphill task, very difficult. So similarly, if you get stuck in the quagmire of attachment, very difficult. As I repeatedly mentioned, that the unceasing running that we are doing today in this world, where everybody says, I'm busy, because we are all running up because we are all running due to attachment. And because of this attachment, everywhere we get stuck. Right? We start. Wealth is like honey. Bees, they make honey. When the bees make honey, they work so hard. There is the queen mother, the mother bee. It's very interesting. I observed it very closely. She is their life, everybody is there, she stays there, everybody comes. She becomes the focal point. And then gradually they collect honey. They work very hard. And after the honey is really nicely collected, what happens? A person comes and takes all of them. Similarly, your wealth also, it will be taken away by so-called sister, so-called brother, so-called husband, so-called wife. And then income tax, You see? So I'm not saying don't share it with your brothers. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to be stingy. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is there's the nature. Wealth is accumulated by someone else. It is enjoyed, eaten by someone else. So therefore, when you have this wealth, use it properly to help less privileged people. To help a little bit, depending upon your capacity, help a little bit, whoever is in need. Yeah. If you're really rich, you can start 3, 4, 5 schools. You see. If you know, one of my Indian friends, he has like 4, 5 schools, I know. I worked with him. Like that. Everything free, he has some money, so he's using everything. Amazing, really amazing. So there are people who do this. But that's amazing. That's how to help develop the country also. You see, if you have say 20% or 10% very, very rich people, and the rest are, valuing in poverty, how can you call that country great country? Honestly speaking. Right? So therefore, the lesson taught in this particular chapter is get out of this quagmire. Run away to a place where you don't develop attachment. Run away. Go away to a place where there's no attachment. How can you do this? You cannot do this just by saying, I don't want to say, I go away. No. You can do this by meditating on impermanence. Impermanence. And that is something that I said repeatedly during this teaching. By saying that the first teaching that the Buddha gave us on impermanence. One of the last teachings that the Buddha gave us on impermanence. And he very clearly said, unless you have a very good understanding of impermanence, your mind will never enter into Dharma practice. So it is this understanding of impermanence, which is the first kind of practice that will make you enter into Dharma practice. And secondly, it will make you stay in the Dharma practice. And thirdly, it will help you achieve liberation. Very, very important. Very important. For example, you are here for a few days, right? Are you planning to buy a land here? Are you buying a land here? Why? Because you know you are not going to stay here. Because you know you are not going to live here. You come here for 10 days and buy a piece of land, people say, stupid, you know, what is she doing? He is a nut. Right? So similarly, we have to go. We don't know. Ticket is unconfirmed. We can't confirm ticket because not sure. We don't know when your turn will come. So they are not issuing the ticket right now. Right? But at least when you leave this place, the first thing you do is not to buy a land here, but make sure that your journey, wherever you're going, the ticket is confirmed. You're more worried about them, right? Right? So similarly, when we talk about going into the next world, we need to confirm the ticket as much as possible, or at least mentally prepare. What is it that I should take when I go to the next world? What is it that you will take with you when you go? When you go back to Israel or different places, you are setting your belongings that is necessary for your journey. Then obviously your ticket, things like that. But when you go out of this world, what do you think you need it? What do you think you can take with you? You can't take your friends and relatives. 100% sure. You can't take your so-called important lamas and gurus also no. You can't even take your MasterCard. Can you? No. Don't be surprised with these things. You can't take even your body. When you came into this world, you came with your body. At least that is what you brought. But when you die, you can't say, this is what I brought when I came into this world. Let me take this back. You can't say this. There's no place where you can argue. You can't take this body also. So you will go just like a string of hair, just like a string of hair pulled out of the lump of butter. If you pull out a string from a lump of butter, what happens? Butter will not stick there. Only the string will come out. So likewise, it is only your mind and consciousness which will go to the next world. So at that time, the clothing, you call it clothing, call it food, whatever, the sustenance that you will need to take is the positive qualities. The imprints of the imprints means habits. Habits you have formed on your mind. So if your mind is habituated with positive practices, wisdom, compassion and love, these are all your sustenance for the journey. Nothing to worry then. Nothing to worry then. But if you have accumulated only the negative emotions, you are in big, big trouble. And for this, you don't have to very long. Even when you see some of the people dying, you can figure out where they are going a little bit. There are some people who, when they're dying, they say, "Oh, I'm now drowning. I'm now drowning. Please pull me, catch my hand, pull me." Some people say like this. There's no good omen. Then some people say, "I'm burning." You see, they already feeling that sensation. You see. And some people die very peacefully, smile on their face. So this is all dependent upon don't wait until you die. Some people might say, when I talk about this last moment for the, they may say, "Okay, dekha jayega. I will see later. Right now I'm not dead, let me enjoy." But what I'm saying is you don't have to wait until you die. If you develop this positive ways of thinking, actually, honestly speaking, you die every day. You die every moment, actually. The so-called person is just one moment, nothing more than that. Just born and die every moment. So in this process of continuous birth and death, if you have accumulated these positive habits in all this birth and death, as you see now, you're having this death and birth right now, but if you have a good mind, you're happy. You're sleeping, having good dream, waking up, happy. If you engage in very negative deeds, you cannot be happy like that. So there's my point. So it's important, as I said the other day also, I'm repeating this again. When we talk about doing Dharma practice, you need to do a practice in such a way that this leaves an imprint on your mental consciousness. Because what goes to the next world is mental consciousness, not a sense consciousness. Okay? So, therefore, run away, escape to a place where there's no attachment. Continuously mindful or remember impermanence. Your body and your mind is like a cloud in the sky. They are transient, they disappear. They come together and suddenly they disappear. We saw this morning, it was sunlight, then after lunch raining, then again it's sunlight, things like it's changing like that. So don't have excessive attachment, because if you do that, it will destroy you when you die. Do not have strong grasping of permanence. There are many cases of people who are completely destroyed because of excessive attachment and greed. Just like a horse gets stuck in the mud, quagmire. Okay? So it's because of this great quagmire of desire, even the so-called Dharma practitioners are destroyed. And because they don't know the actual Dharma meaning, even though they say they are meditating on loving kindness, they will, instead of increasing loving kindness, they will increase attachment. I'm meditating loving kindness on you. Then gradually the loving kindness will change into attachment. Even in terms of practice, if you don't know how to do it. And when you aspire to remove attachment, your anger increases. And when you develop this desire to remove hatred, ignorance increases. And when you meditate on ugliness, you see, then hatred increases. So the facsimile loving kindness is nothing but attachment. The facsimile sense of equality is nothing but ignorance. The facsimile joy is nothing but arrogance. So these are all due to ignorance. Because of ignorance, when you develop a wish to observe morality, your sense of purity increases. And when you observe certain discipline, you sink into this sense of superiority. So in this way, you have really no control over yourself. You will be taken by the Lord of the death. So in this way, you are destroying yourself. And in a sarcastic way, Atisha says, this people who are not so clever, this kind of stupid, dull people, they have a lot of patience. Patience, not the right one, but the wrong patience with everything which is not good. Still, they go on doing it. There's wrong patience. And even while knowing that it is something that they can correct, they can mend their ways, but still they will bear with these unhappy things. They will continue to have attachment, and they sunk into this quagmire of attachment. So that is our nature. And the main reason for this is because of the conception of the self, I. And what kind of I? This I is a very peculiar I who needs everything. There's nothing that this I doesn't need. The demand of the person or the I is so much that the world is flooded with all kind of junks in the market. And everybody says, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. And this I wants victory. This I wants profit. Not only you need them, but you need more. Buy one free. So this I needs everything. I'm the best among everybody. I'm the most disciplined among everybody. So when there is an opportunity to become a sage, and if you become a sage, then there is an opportunity to get good wealth like butter, then you'll pretend that you're also a sage, you will join them. If there's an opportunity to get a lot of meat, you will join the company of the jackals. Right? But here, what is important, all this grasping to the I is there because you don't know the ultimate reality. Okay, we talk about this a little bit tomorrow. So if you have some questions, please. Yeah.
We talked yesterday that the self-grasping, like the president of the negative card.
Yeah.
So what we talked about the Buddhism belief that you don't, it shouldn't be like an object to someone else. You shouldn't let other people treat you like an object, like bully. So can you explain it more? Because for me, sometimes it feels like if it's like a conflict.
Yeah. So you should not forget the fundamental point. The fundamental point I made was things do not exist independently, but things exist. Right? Because things exist, you also need to protect yourself. You need to protect yourself. Protecting yourself is not only for yourself, but also helping others. And when you talk about others, others are not enlightened beings. They will make improper demands from you. They will bully you. So in those situations, circumstances, with deep compassion, but externally, be strong. Don't let them bully you. Right? But deep down compassion, because I don't have inherent existence, they don't have inherent existence. Because of this, we are creating all these problems. Right? So there is a conventional level and ultimate level. Okay?
The mental consciousness, the
Yeah, yeah,
very nature of the consciousness, what goes on,
yeah.
it depends on what. Is it independent?
No. There, as I said very clearly, there's nothing that is independent existence. The mental consciousness, like any other conditioned phenomena, comes from it is receding consciousness as substantial cause, we call it. For any conditioned phenomena, impermanent phenomena to arise, it has to have two primary causes. One is called substantial cause, second is called I'll say uh, cooperative condition. Cooperative condition. For example, if I prepare a mud pot from a lump of mud, then it is this lump of mud which itself becomes the pot. So there is substantial cause. The substance itself changes into that pot. Then there are the potter who makes that, then the water, other things. They are the cooperating condition. So the point I'm making is all consciousness has to come from their preceding consciousness. Okay. Yeah.
If what you're saying with emptiness, that everything is interdependent and everything is impermanent, the law of impermanence, then
Not everything impermanent, no. No. Everything is interdependent. So within the whole phenomena, there are two categories: impermanent phenomena, permanent phenomena. Impermanent phenomena are dependent on cause and condition. Permanent phenomena are not dependent on cause and condition. They are dependent on mental designation. Okay, there's a difference. So permanent phenomena are like abstract qualities. For example, we say emptiness is permanent. So I suppose whiteness is also permanent because these are just mental abstract qualities. That's not easy to understand. Okay. Yeah.
When I do things that are considered non-virtues or a sin, I can also feel regret. And I read in the book that we received that regret in Buddhism is looked at as a positive emotion, even though it can feel physically or can feel bad. But in my personal experience, regret can also be accompanied with like self-anger and shame. So how do you?
No, that depends upon in what culture you are brought up, you see. But in Buddhism, we are not talking about maintaining guilty feeling. Guilt. We are not talking about maintaining a feeling of guilt. We are simply saying regret. That means regret means not saying that you are hopeless, you cannot improve, but what we are saying is what I've done is wrong. Like for example, if you drank too much last night and you are today very sick, then you regret. I should not have taken so much wine last night. So that is not to say you're a bad person, you're a homeless person, Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you like cope with the maybe burdens or mistakes that you've done in the past that feel like they will maybe last forever, take like or
So the very reason that you feel regret is that you are saying that was wrong. I'm not going to repeat it again. Right? I'm not going to repeat it again. Then the things that you've already done, it's already done. So for that, it's a bad thing you've done. So for that, you should take refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, recite mantras, help others. Through this way, they're purified. Okay. So I'll take like this. Yeah.
And what happens if, like, I'm doing something bad?
Yeah.
I'm doing it for a good cause. Like,
Yeah.
I'm stealing, but I'm stealing to give to.
White stealing. Yeah. So the best is, of course, not to steal. not to steal. We have this very famous story of Robinson, not Robin Hood, sorry, not Robinson, Robin Hood. Robin Hood was a robber, group gang, he used to rob rich people and give it to the poor. So that is to some extent understandable. But in China, they did also, but it didn't work. In China, they did it. In Tibet, before Chinese came also, some of the Tibetan kings did it. They took away the money from the rich people, give it to the poor. And during the time of one Tibetan king, he did it 3 times. But again, the rich people will become richer, poor people become poorer. So sometimes it is a lack of opportunity, but many times, whether you have accumulated enough karma or not, so it's simply just robbing somebody, giving it, looks like doesn't work. So you need to educate people more than just giving things, right? Okay.
So you mentioned at the beginning of the class that 4 out of 10 things we shouldn't do is connected to our speaking. When, yeah, connected to our speaking.
Harsh speech.
Harsh speech.
So my question is if there is any practical recommendation or books that were written about how should we keep those rules to make.
Yeah. All the Lamrim books, especially, I don't know, this one is a little bit costly. The Tsongkhapas, very famous Tibetan teacher, Geshe Lhakdor. He has written this Lamrim, Stages of Spiritual Path, how to start from the beginning until you get enlightened. Very detailed, 3 volumes. Now, luckily, available in English. So you should first see it in the Tushita library. So those books have all the details. And for you, you could just take that part, make a photocopy or something. Yeah.
Like practice,
Huh?
the contribution.
Yeah, that 3 books. Read that. Whether you can buy or not is a different thing, but I am sure it's here in the library. Okay, so read that part of the 10 non-religious practice, so it is more detailed there. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So we talk a lot about attachment to anger, but nowadays many people have fear. How would we say we should do?
Fear, there are realistic fear, unrealistic fear. If you're chased by a mad dog, that's realistic fear. So it's better run away. Okay. Rather than sitting there careless. But if you're flying in an aeroplane, I'm sharing you my experience, okay? If you're flying in the aeroplane and then the aeroplane becomes very bumpy, then no use fearing. Because sometimes what we do, I do that, maybe you do. When it's really, really bumpy, then I hold the chair very tightly, which doesn't make any sense, So the only thing is either ignore it or take some long, breathing. It helps. So those are, useless to fear. Then fear of death. It's important to fear of death. Yes, because if you have fear, then you prepare. If you don't prepare, you will be caught before you are prepared. Yeah. Yeah.
So the long way to the real and long way happiness. So I want to ask for your opinion, how can we not attach this happiness?
You need to see the disadvantages. What is the benefit? There's not much benefit. You might get some pleasures. There's no long-term benefit. You're looking not for pleasures, you're looking for long-term happiness. So with this kind of understanding, if you really want long-term happiness, not only temporary pleasures, then you should know that unconditioned love is better than attachment. Like seeing the pros and cons, Okay. Then, shall I go there or yeah, you also here?
So we're talking before about no killing and no stealing.
Yeah.
And I was
I
just
want to steal. I'm joking. Yeah.
coming to Dharamshala, experiencing in many of the Buddhist communities, the high consumption of dairy, so milk, cheese, and things like that. So the question is like, is it ever justified to exploit animals in such a way that contradicts the teachings?
Teaching is one thing. How much people practice is another thing. That you need to accept right from the beginning. No one of us is able to practice everything according to whatever your religion is, unfortunately. Then also in Buddhism, I have never seen a text which is saying that don't take dairy products, many vodka and things like that. What I've seen is don't torture animals, right? So therefore, if it is a product that comes through torturing, mistreating animals, you need to be alert and aware about all these things. Then how many people are there who pay attention to all these happenings, But it's important. That's why we say you should study not only Buddhist texts, but also what is happening with animals, how we are mistreating animals, things like that. Right? So that's important. And then also if you go extreme, then you can't survive. There's hardly anything which doesn't come by depending on others, by depending on animals. Right? The clothes you are wearing. There's an article which says, I don't remember the whole content, but the title I remember says, the vegetarians done the greatest damage to the environment. Vegetarians, as opposite to non-vegetarian, you see. So you need to be realistic and careful and practice as much as possible, not to harm others. Okay?
Emptiness means not labeling something, an object,
No, emptiness means labeling.
means labeling.
Means labeling.
Okay.
Because if you don't label,
Yeah.
then there will be nothing. Because in emptiness we say things exist. Therefore we give the name. Emptiness means empty of independent existence, not non-existence. Things exist. When things exist, they should be labeled. If you don't label, there's no way you can communicate to each other. Okay? Yeah.
I have two questions, one of them is short.
Little bit louder.
Okay. I have two questions if you'll have one. The first is, can you maybe elaborate a little bit more about Buddhism or sexual misconduct? Just, a bit more.
Yeah. So as I briefly mentioned, and then the book that I recommended, you read that book. Okay. So sexual misconduct, as I mentioned this morning, is not having sex with others who is not your spouse, husband, wife. Then also not having sex in improper parts of the body. And also not having sex in holy places, like in a temple, things like that. And also not having sex when somebody is pregnant. So, you can read a little bit more details. Okay?
Thank you. And the second question is, wait, I'll try to put it right. While talking about impermanence, do you think maybe the belief of Buddhism and reincarnation can maybe cause, like, depending on that, and then like help to do.
What did she say? But I think I got what you're going to say. I don't know, maybe. Because this is a question many people raise. If it is impermanent, how the continuity takes place, be it reincarnation or anything, how the continuity takes place. Therefore, there are religions who believe in a soul. That means what continues, what goes to many lives should be permanent, so that they are there forever. As opposite to this, Buddhism say mind is impermanent. The example the Buddhists give is, for example, if a river, stream starts running from the snow mountain, then takes its journey all the way to the ocean. It's changing, it's impermanent, it's changing all the time, it's changing its courses. Sometimes it's clean, sometimes it's muddy, sometimes it's falling from a rock, sometimes disappears underneath the ground. It's changing, but it's reaching the ocean. So mind is like that. My mind, next in reincarnation, maybe in an animal, next time maybe in a dog. But the same continuity, the stream is going on. Sometimes dirty, sometimes clean, it goes on.
And obviously, the belief of reincarnation can make people depend so much on that belief that they won't be able to believe in the impermanence or understanding.
No, the other way around. The other way around. Because if you believe in reincarnation, then reincarnation doesn't come. The so-called reincarnation, if they're true reincarnation, they don't come as reincarnated beings without having made any effort. They made effort, lot of work. When they begin, for example, we say Buddha, oh, very difficult to become Buddha. Many countless eons work, right? So reincarnations are not like gods, they're already there. Okay, what was the next? Yeah.
A question about not befriending those who act in harmful ways. Friends, if our family and community we grew up in, there's just a lot of people acting in harmful ways, is the teaching saying?
Yes. Yes. I think I got you. Many people have this problem, as I mentioned the other day. Sangha, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. If you have Sanghas around, it's easy to practice. But if you go into a place where people don't appreciate what you're doing, people don't support what you're doing, people don't talk about it, then you are the only white crow among the black crows, So it may be difficult. But it is not impossible. I tell you a story. I have one Canadian friend who later became a monk. He was more or less hippie in the beginning, very early time. In terms of, used to have a lot of hippies in the beginning. So he was a kind of hippie. Then gradually he joined our monastery and studied Buddhist philosophy. And gradually he got changed. He became a monk. Right? So his parents were not in talking terms with him because of all of what he has done. Then gradually he tried to communicate with them. Then gradually they knew what he's really doing, that he is a changed person, he's much better than before, things like that. Their parents became so happy, they came all the way from Canada to see him in Dharamsala. So it will take time. It will take time. And sometimes I jokingly tell people, if your family members, others are not interested, then don't talk too much about Buddhism. But you read. You sit on your sofa and read, and it's clear that you're really happy. You shake your head. Don't say anything. Then mark it and leave it there. When you are gone, it's almost sure they'll come and read. Human mind is like this, if you say they always reject, we have this tendency, but we are like monkeys, said, but don't, never say this religion. You can in a very gentle way say, yeah, I've been reading this, very beneficial for me, such good advice. Then some like universal messages you can show, this is the message, they will understand. All right, one last, okay, two last, three last, oh, I don't know, one last, yeah. Yeah,
It's linked to the sexual misconduct question. You said not to have sex in holy places,
yeah,
temples.
yeah.
You can see, depending on how big your house is,
Huh?
depending on the size of your house, you're quite likely to maybe put a shrine in your bedroom.
Yeah,
You can see having sex in the safe space that you have with shrine.
good. So try your best. That's all I can say. Try your best. Try your best. Whatever. Yeah, but what I'm talking about was, of course, a big temple like this, of course. Then also your very good question. Very good question. Because in your place also, if it is a place where you have many sacred things, then at least maintain some distance. At least maintain some distance. Or if you have a room, go to the next room. Things like that, things like that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, last question. There was one more. Yeah.
After the question, which quality makes His Holiness one of a generation? And a follow-up question, how you determine, because there isn't dynasty, the Dalai Lama, how you determine which is the next one?
The process of choosing successive reincarnation, I tell you, to be honest, not all so-called reincarnations are reincarnations. Because we also live in an ordinary society, there are like gamblings going on, looking for status, looking for name. So people manipulate and then have their child recognized. These things are also there. You should be realistic. Okay. But then in the case of the successive Dalai Lama, they are chosen very particularly, very carefully. For example, when the 13th Dalai Lama passed away, actually you read his book, My Land and My People. Very interesting. My Land and My People. Read this book, then everything is there. But anyway, briefly speaking, when the 13th Dalai Lama passed away, number one, when the 13th Dalai Lama passed away, he was already passed away. He was on his throne. Then suddenly he found his face turned towards the east, the dead body. And on the eastern side of the temple, there were many like star-shaped mushrooms. It was not the time to have this kind of fungus, A lot of those things appeared. So there is also an indication. But then normally they make a search party. They form a search party, different groups. Then they are sent into different directions in Tibet to look at it. Then there is also a lake, very famous lake in Tibet. We now call it television lake. So that lake, if you go near that lake and pray, but there are many, this is not made up, there are many eyewitness accounts. Tibet is a very holy place, okay? So because of that, and then land is pure, things like that. So if you go and pray there near the lake gradually shows what is to come. So in the case of this 14th Dalai Lama, first there was a golden turquoise-roofed monastery, it appeared. Then the three letters A, Ka, Ma appeared. A means Amdo, the place where it is called. Things like that. And then also when the search party actually went into the room, the family, then his holiness at that time very small, but he was able to walk up and down. So they pretended that the real head Lama, who was Kyusang Rinpoche, the head Lama of their search party, he went into the kitchen. The others pretended they are the main Lama. They went into the main room. But His Holiness went to this real Lama in the kitchen and then asked him to give the rosary wearing on the neck of that Lama. His Holiness said, give it to me. Give it to me, which belonged to the 13th Dalai Lama. Then he also called by his name, the Lama's name. So there are many, many things like that. Then on an actual selection day, there were 13 or 16 different articles put together. One fake, one real, but looking very similar. Two drums, two walking sticks, things like that. So His Holiness, without hesitation, picked up the right one. All of them, except the walking stick. With walking stick, he picked up one and he was a little bit confused, and then put it back and then picked up the right one. Then later on they found that this one was also with the Dalai Lama, 13th Dalai Lama for some time. Because of this, he wanted to show that this also there. So like that, many, many experiments have been done. Okay. And then His Holiness, when he was very young, he used to say, I want to go to Lhasa, I want to go to Lhasa, I want to go to Lhasa, things like that. I'm not praising His Holiness, okay? He's my teacher. Not because of this, but have you seen His Holiness advertising himself? That I'm very special, I have clairvoyance, things like that. He can do that. There's so many people who respect him and who he has the power and things like that. But one of his secretaries, because he has been there, he's still there, Tibetan secretary, Losang Jimala. So he had observed many of these unique things. And then he took note of everything. Then I think 2 years back, he asked the library to publish it. And we published it, So this book contains many unbelievable things happened with His Holiness. So I'm slowly translating it. Already like more than third, I translated. It will take still more time. We need to do more research. So there are many things like that. Many, many peculiar things. Few things I myself noticed when I was his translator. For example, when he visited Australia, there was an elderly lady, she was sick and sitting on the wheelchair. So within the crowd, His Holiness noticed this lady, he went there and hugged her, Then after a few weeks or something, when we came back into Dharamsala, she came out in the newspaper saying that the Dalai Lama hugged me and he healed my sickness. So the wheelchair was there and she was standing here. So many things like that. Then I tell you one very interesting thing. One, of course, His Holiness, we believe is very special. Second, even in our case, if you have genuine love, you can heal many people. So don't see that it's only His Holiness. He's very special, of course, I take it. But in our case also, if you genuinely, with love, help somebody, you can heal. Simple touch by somebody with genuine love. It's very healing. Okay, thank you. Okay.